Hello and welcome back to the Drummers Podcast, episode number 2. As I promised last week, today we will have Zam Marin, which is the artist relation manager for Axis Pedal and Drum Company. He is the guy in charge for all the social media, answer the emails, answer the phone calls, and he's also a drummer with some crazy life stories that you will find out during this conversation. So really quickly, if you do appreciate to be in the comfort of your own house or even while traveling to listen to this kind of content, and if you do find some motivation or inspiration out of it, please subscribe to the channel. It's a big help for all of us. So with all that said, let's talk to Zed. Wow. With all that said, let's talk to Zed.
Sweet, man. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm good. All's good, man.
Nice.
That's a nice studio, man, in the back. It looks super
thank
cool.
you. I do have a electronic drum set over there too. I saw that you.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing, the Roland.
It's missing an Axis pedal, but I know that it's already in Portugal. Are you in Los Angeles or San Francisco?
Yeah, Los Angeles.
Oh, I thought San Francisco because I know that Axis have a department there, right?
Yeah, production is in San Francisco, but I'm based out of Los Angeles.
And I know that you also have a band.
There's my childhood band that I started back when that I joined actually back in Jordan, the beginning of the 2000s, and then I moved the band to Los Angeles when I moved here. And there's also another local band that I play in called Viminal also that I joined about 3 years ago. And the moment I was able to play like the first like rock beat, I joined the band. Played for years, and then we started having the ability to play, like shows after I joined like Isodik, which is the band that I brought to LA. Then we started playing shows, and then of course living in Jordan, playing metal. So you're a devil worshiper right away.
Yeah.
You're a threat to society, everything. So we go play a show, and by the end of the show, we end up in handcuffs, end up in the back of a cop car, if like we were just like doing something so bad or negative. But for them, they go into the show, these guys on stage screaming, and it's so loud, and people are like bumping with each other, and they're moshing. And it smells like alcohol, and for an Islamic country where like it's very, very conservative.
Too much for them.
Yeah, it's too much. So they were like, we don't understand this, so let's ban it.
I do know that I do have a very good friend and close friend, which is living in Los Angeles now. It's Afi.
Yeah.
It's originally from Pakistan, an actor in LA. Established himself as an actor, but he was a musician, and one of the main reasons that made him go to the US was because of music. He was not playing metal at all, but he had to be so careful. His lyrics was about political protestment, not religion but political, and human rights and freedom, and he was getting with a lot of issues because of doing that in Pakistan. We met that way. He hired me to play drums in a track because he wouldn't find nobody in this country that would play that song because of blasphemy.
Yeah.
Right?
Basically, any country that has a prominent presence for the Muslim Brotherhood will definitely have you will have problems being a metal band. It's like you signed up for a life of being harassed consistently. The cops would call you, the intelligence would call you. You would be treated like you're a terrorist or like you're kind of bad person. It's a disappointment after disappointment, and it gets very frustrating because they would detain you, they would take you in, they would lock you up, and they would lock up the organizer and all the bands and try to get people from the fans. And I was detained a few times, and they were like telling me, you're a devil worshiper, and we know. And I was like, how would you know that I'm a devil worshiper? It's like, no, we know. We just we are just collecting intel, and that's why we are talking to you. And I was like, they have this like preconceived notion about like anything that has a pentagram on it, and they
Yeah.
don't understand like the theatrical, there is Satanism, and there is all kinds of occult in the world, and there are people that practice all sorts of magic, but that most of the time has nothing to do with with metal. A lot of the bands use the imagery because of the theater, and it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
goes, and they just don't understand. They just want to ban it. I wanted to play drums. I want to play extreme metal, so it got to the point where I had to just make a move, and I just like saved up enough money and got my stuff together, and I just got out of the country, and I moved to LA. I was 28 when I moved here. Yeah.
I already thought about it many times because I already had a lot of opportunities to move. Especially as a musician, you dream and you can go if you want to go. It's just like pick your bags and go. But
Yeah.
sometimes we do, especially around 30s,
Yeah.
you do have, or even is a girlfriend, or even is a band, or even is a job. How hard for you was to like leave all of those things behind and just go?
It was not easy. I'm not gonna lie to you. The thing that made it a little bit easier is I spent a few years getting ready for the move. So like I had to save up enough money in Jordan to last me at least a year to 2 years, knowing I'm not gonna be making any money here in the
Yeah.
beginning. So I had to figure things out. Good thing is that, man, like I'm very extroverted. I'm a very social person. So I would go to every single metal show. I would meet as much people as possible. In the beginning, I went to school because I graduated from Jordan. I have a degree in architecture.
Oh, me
I
too.
Oh, that's
Well, I
awesome.
didn't finish mine, but that's what I studied. Yeah,
Yeah.
in college.
Yeah, man, I spent 6 years, and I liked it, but I didn't enjoy it so much. It was my parents where they were like, fuck, how they were raised in a time where like you have to have a degree so that your
Yeah,
education is becoming so much more useless these days than how it was like 20, 30 years
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they were like, get your degree, get your bachelor's, and then we will let you go and you can travel and do whatever you want. I was like, okay, cool. I'll get this degree. I'll give it to you. You can put it on the wall. You know how in the culture in Jordan, my dad said, my son is the architect.
Yeah.
So he was,
Portugal is the same.
yeah. So I did that. I was like, okay, cool. 6 years. I gave you this 6 years. Now let me go. And I want to be a drummer. And
You choose US, why?
because Los Angeles, man, like we all like growing up, if you like metal, you always hear Los Angeles, Los Angeles. Everybody's in Los Angeles and LA
Yeah.
and the metal scene and the Sunset Strip and all these bands and everything happens there and being in the right location and around the right people and you keep hearing those things. At first, I went to San Francisco. It was too gloomy for me. Came to LA. It was
Yeah.
perfect.
I
Yeah.
felt the same thing with San Francisco. I cannot choose a first, second, and third place. They are the
Yeah.
three in my heart. One of them, of course, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
The other, New Orleans, and the other,
Yeah.
Nashville. If I had to pick one, well, I'll probably go to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Just because I have more friends there and I spend there more time than in other places. But I did like New Orleans a lot.
Yeah.
The thing is that it seems more dangerous, I believe.
Yeah.
Nashville, the only thing is that it's too much USA, it's those cowboy things and country
Yeah.
music and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. It's a country. It's a country
Yeah,
city. Yeah.
yeah. It's amazing too, but at the same time my main thing was always metal and rock. And
Yeah.
I don't think I'll find it much in Nashville. Probably I will spend there. It was 1 week and a half, I believe. So it's not much, and it's a big city. The first time I went to Los Angeles. I spent there. It was 3 days. Then I drove back to because I came from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Then I drove back to Las Vegas, and
Yeah.
then came to Los Angeles again for more 2 days, and
Yeah.
then I moved. But it was enough to see that it's a city where the things happen.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
in everything,
Yeah.
even if you are an actor, if you are a rock player, if you are a country player, I believe that you can see it all there.
I didn't like San Francisco so much. The weather was like not cool.
Yeah,
Just
they have a name for the fog, right? It's Carl.
yeah.
You know that they have an Instagram page for the name of the fog in San Francisco. It's Carl the fog.
A friend of mine from Jordan happened to be backpacking through the US at the same time. So he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm in San Francisco. I don't like the weather, blah, 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 blah." And he was like, "You know what? Send me a picture of your passport. I'm going to buy you a flight to Vegas. Let's meet at Vegas." I went to Vegas and we just drove down from Vegas down to Los Angeles. My buddy wanted to keep backpacking and going around. And I was like, no, I think this is where I want to stay. I want to figure out how to stay here. It's so funny. I found this girl that was renting literally a couch in her living room. I stayed there, and then about 3 weeks after I was staying there, or 2 weeks, some crazy guy from Jordan and his wife in some other place in America went out shooting people or like threatening people with guns somewhere else. So her mom called her and made her
Yeah.
like ask me to leave. She's like, "Hey, you need to leave," and I was like, "What does that have to do with me?" You know. I literally like had to take my stuff and get out of there, and then I called somebody who knows somebody, who I found a friend of a friend who was able to come pick me up. Stayed like also in his on his couch for like a week, and then I found an actual apartment by myself. I signed the lease. It was on my place.
All with money that you saved from Jordan, right?
So I saved up enough for 2 years, very close to what happened. So in the meantime, I would just network so much. Before working with Access, I would always go to the factory since 2006, 15, 16. Every month, every couple of months, I go to the factory and hang out with the owners, and I became very good friends with them. When I moved to LA, like you find out that everything is there, man. Like you look like, oh, Access is an hour away. Oh, DW is an hour away. Oh, ESP Guitar is here. Oh, Jackson is there. If you want to go meet people, like people underestimate that you can just go anywhere. You don't have to like, oh, I'm gonna call and see if I can. What's the worst that can happen? Somebody can tell you get the hell out of here. You can get the hell out of here. That's the word. It was very hard to get anybody on the phone before I started handling the phone calls. So I just went down. I drove down. I was like, "Hey, my name is Zed. I just moved out here. I love you guys as petters." And then like I was like, "Hey, okay, nice meeting you." And then I came back and I kept coming and saying hi and helping out and things. And then one day, the right time, right place, they just needed somebody, and I started working.
Was it your first job in US?
It was the first job that I was full time doing. Yeah.
And what about the band? You moved the band right away, right at the same time that you moved to US too?
We recorded an EP together, with the original lineup. We had a friend of a friend who used to study at SAE. All my friends that we used to play music with me signed up there to study. These dudes contacted me and they're like, "Hey man, we would like to record your band." We didn't have any money, and even when we tried to go and record, we got also sponsored by some other a radio station recorded a song for us, and that like the engineer didn't know anything about how metal is and how metal needs to be recorded, so it didn't turn out well. And then for some reason they did not follow up. You know how tedious it is to, like, after the recording, the editing and the cleanup and all this work that you have to
Yeah.
do. To everybody in Jordan was like, "Oh, like, well, I'm not gonna like edit these tracks that have like a million notes
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
Forget about it." At least I took everything, I put it on a hard drive. I had the hard drive with me when I came to LA. I was literally in the smoking area of the Decibel tour. It was a Decibel tour for High on Fire, Skeleton Witch, and Abath. This girl was standing there and she was like, "Hey, how you doing? This is Damien. Damien, do you want to meet this dude? He looks cool." And I was like, "Hey, man."
That's another amazing thing that just happens in US.
Yeah.
Every time I go there, I meet random people. Well, man, I have a story for you. Crazy story.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot, but this one related with this podcast. So after the day we met, I went to Denny's to have a dinner.
Yeah.
So there was just this long line for waiting for dinner, and I was just there waiting for my table. And there was this guy like next to me. He saw my badge as an exhibitor. What are you doing there? Oh, really? I'm a drummer too. It was Brian Callum. He was already on this podcast. He was recommended as one of the best drum teachers in the country by Dom Formularo,
Wow.
which is crazy.
Of
And
course.
this guy was just like there, and we start talking like in US. You see, like
Yeah.
it doesn't happen here. People are very friendly, but it's not that way. It's not just because this story that you told me. Like, let's meet this guy because it seems cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
That
so funny. And she introduced me to this dude who is now one of my best friends in LA. His name is Damien. Turned out to be a mixing engineer, and he was mixing Fear Factory and Dragon Force, and he toured with Dragon Force playing bass. I When I added him, I saw all these posts about all this work, and I was like, "Hey man, I have my band's project. Nobody was able to finish it. Would you be able to like mix it and master it?" And he's like, "Hell yeah!" And then I gave it to him, and he was able to finish it.
me and you we have the same example again, which is
Yeah,
a friend of mine called me and said, "Man, go to Axis and ask for Zed because it's my friend. I'm from Jordan too," which was Ani Abadi.
of course. Hani is awesome. Hani is
And I
like
was
one of
like,
my
"What?
like one
You
of
know?
like family man. Like since we
Yeah."
were yeah.
With Hani, I have another crazy story. I was recording his album. We made this kind of Zoom calls and we kind of built up the album together. And then I had to stop because I went on tour with the band from Dubai. And so I
Yeah.
said to Hani, man, I have to stop for at least 2 weeks because I'm going to Kazakh Republic to play. And as soon as I'm back, I call you and we move forward with the recordings. I said okay. So I went there and came back. First call, Annie was like, "Man, did you went with your band?" "No, it was a band from Dubai, a friend of mine." And it was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, so it was you?" And I was like, You were there?" Happens that Annie knew the guys from Dubai Aramaic. It's
Yeah.
crazy small world.
Yeah.
Then I
I
went
know
to
the
US.
stuff.
Never thought that Honey was in US. I thought it was in Jordan. Went to US, post something on Instagram and stuff, and I was in San Francisco and called me, man. I'm like 1 hour, so I met him personally, randomly.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's it. It gets smaller because our scene is very intimate. You know, even if we're all over the world, it gets smaller and smaller. And the more you know people, and the more you get in the scene, the more you realize it gets smaller and smaller. And that's the beauty of it. It's so nice when it comes to the metal scene in the Middle East. Like it's nice, but the mentality still needs, man. Like the mentality of the general public. You don't get local shows there, you know. Like you get, so they only host bigger bands. They can like have some local openers there, but if they have local shows for only local bands, they will have no turnout. Just your goal should not be to play shows there. So
Small country, small market,
yeah,
especially for most underground genres. It's very hard to be respected in terms
yeah.
of economy. Even for the government, you mean nothing as a musician.
What's the closest country to you that has a good market? So if I am in Portugal right now, I would think the
Well,
closer the Germany, like
Germany.
Germany, of
If it is for metal music, probably Germany. It depends. Spain has a good market. Portugal has a
course.
good market.
Yeah,
It's just not for metal or rock, but it probably has a good market for traditional Portuguese music. Spain has a good market, for example, for blues. I started living in music as a drummer with a rockabilly band. We played a
yeah,
lot in Spain. Most big rockabilly festivals in Europe, they are in Spain. Then
yeah.
France, you have a big market for hip hop music, for example.
Yeah, yeah, and it's if like I could relate because my buddies that were in metal bands, whenever like all that got shut down, suddenly all of them started like forming like cover bands, playing, like Three Doors Down. And in Jordan, you if you play stuff like that, you could play in like so many pubs. I have a guitarist friend that doesn't sit down, he's always booked. So like if you want to play different styles, 100% you could definitely do. But like the thing is, like I couldn't in LA. Even here I played some stuff here or there. Is like I wanted to play the music that makes me feel in a certain way. I tried many times to do something that's not along the lines of like thrash or death metal, and it didn't resonate with me, and it wasn't as fun as I would want that to be. Being in the industry, like having my job with Access was a bless. I'm blessed with that because like I was able to be recognized as a person in my industry. I was able to speak and to so many more people that I couldn't have like had the opportunity to talk to. This way I could like ask for advice.
You
Like
were
I have.
hanging out with Derek Roddy there. Just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. He came and he slept at my house.
I spent a few time talking with them. You know that I saw since I was a little kid. I was not even playing drums, and he has those videos which was like drum studies or drum
Yeah,
solos with
yeah,
rhythm with some blast beats and some stuff. He had like these curtains. It was in red, I believe. I spent so many hours seeing that same old videos. I believe I still can do some solos just by remembering. I don't have to see the video because it got so inside my mind because I watched it so many times. And then you go
yeah.
to US and you are there and I saw him. I just say, "Hey, Derek." He said, "Hey, man," and he came. "How are you?" and stuff. And I was like, so it's
Yeah, man.
amazing, man. Amazing guy. I love
Oh
him
yeah,
so
man,
much.
he's a super cool dude, very humble, very chill. That's also that same video with the red curtains. I had that on my PC at my parents' house as a kid,
Yeah,
teenager.
man.
I
Yeah.
would I would make people watch it that
Me
don't even like
too,
metal
man. Me
or drums.
too.
Come see this, watch this. Yeah, yeah, it's he's awesome, and he was actually the first like metal drummer to have like an instructional DVD, an instructional book
Yeah.
ever. Like he started doing that, it's pretty amazing, man. I was so happy to be able to just bring him to the Nam show this time. This Nam show was like one of the most fun Nam shows we've had in years, man. It's
There are a lot of people saying that it's still weak comparing to what it was before. For me, it was amazing. I learned a lot. I met a lot of people, and I met a lot of products that I didn't knew before. So, for
Yeah,
example, Axis. We don't. I never tried those different models of Axis drum pedals before. You don't have it in stores here, like it's in Portugal yet. But we will have it. I'll be the ambassador. Thank you very much for sending this longboard Axis pedals. It's an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much. And thanks, Axis, for that too.
oh, of course, man.
How do you manage your practice routine, especially working in a full time job?
So the good thing about my job is that I don't have a certain time that I need to work. I love my job. I just have to stop myself from working more than I have to make myself work. So I'm always available. My phone is always on me. I answer emails, do all the social media, answer the phone calls that go to Access, and also some artists sometimes during touring in Europe. They would call me in the middle of the night, and I have zero issues, dude. I can't complain because I could make so much more money working a job that I don't enjoy, and I would rather do this. I would
Yeah.
rather make less money and have a job that I actually like. When it comes to practice routine, I don't have a set time. I study. I have a mentor that I go see once a week. We study mostly like charts reading, and he gives me assignments from like stick control. That's usually how I start my day. I wake up, coffee, and then do that, and then after that I sit, see some emails, see if there's anything for work I have to do. And then after that, I grab my backpack and I go to my studio. When I go to my studio on my live drums, all I do is just I play all the sets, because that's what George Colliers told me once. Like it's for the best way to get like your endurance up is to just play a long set as if you're on stage. So I play 2 3 sets back to back, so I can play like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I try to do as much as possible when it comes to endurance too. So whenever watching TV at night, if I can do any kind of single stroke endurance runs while watching TV. I do those. But honestly, nothing gets you so much better more than actually having a gig that's demanding. Like nothing got me to improve more than that. There's this black metal band that wanted me to fill in. You know how you did fill in for those guys. These guys wanted me to fill in. We were opening for Hate and Batushka, and it was 240 and 250 BPM, and I was not even close. I had 1 month, and I was just trying, going to the lockout and trying and failing every day for 30 days. And then I got to the point where I made it work just enough to go play them, and I was able to play the show that I had to play. And that was like, that just showed me, just put a deadline, and these are the songs, and even if I'm cramping up and I can't play them, just push.
Gradually, but you do have to push your limits
Yeah,
if you
but
want
there's a
to
point.
improve.
There's a point that I always see people online talking about. I wish everybody knows this. I fell into this. It's the metalhead mentality. It's like, I want to do the hard thing. You see all these legends, playing. All the skins of the toms are dead. The pedals super tight. The beaters super back. You should understand that those guys have been playing live for so long that they got so strong. It just works for them like that. My advice to everybody is make things easy before you make them hard. I was trying to play double strokes and heel toe for years, and I couldn't do it. And then one day when I had this gig, I was like, I have to. That's the only way. And I was one of those guys that say, "Oh, I don't want to cheat, and I don't want to cheat." And I was like, "But I have a gig. Do I want to open for Batushka and Hate, or do I want to just sit here and just complain?" So I was like, "Let me think how to make this easy for me." So I tightened my kick drum so tight, almost like the snare, so that they when I press, it just
The
the
double,
double stroke.
yeah.
Yeah, so I sat with Yanni Aloma. He's a good friend. He plays with Dark Funeral. I asked him about the settings, about the module and everything, and we dialed everything down on a Zoom like this. I was able to make it work. Now I have my kick drums loose back again. I have my beaters set up like normal feeling pedals. Whenever I made it easy, it taught my feet to move the right way, because the pedals are actually so responsive that they kind of guided my feet to move and
Yeah.
to get motion right. In the beginning, I thought, oh, I need only the Roland. I need to stuff my kicks and do this, and I had these things. And then after a while, now I put foot blasters, access triggers, access E3, everything just does the same thing.
It works. Yo,
Yeah,
it works.
yeah,
You,
because the technique got better. Because when the technique gets better, everything works.
I had the chance to. It was not sit down and play, but to take a look
Yeah,
the Mario's from Gojira
yeah,
drum set, and his skins are so like loose
yeah,
that it's impossible to imagine how we can play that fast and that tight in
yeah.
such so loose skins. But he make it work because it works for him. I believe it's a question of he develop a certain technique on that specifically. It happened with me. I don't know if it happens with everybody, but sometimes you see other drummers use a certain technique or a certain way to tune the drums, or even the position, like a shine symbol over here and a right symbol over there and stuff. And it works for them, and it will work for you if you play the same songs, but you're not playing the same songs. You're playing a
Exactly.
different
Exactly.
thing. So for you can be the worst thing to have.
Sometimes you're following a certain sound. Having to have that particular sound means you have to be super hard on your body. That's okay if that's what you want, but like the goal that we want to do is be able to play all our lives. So until like your retirement years,
Yeah,
you don't need to like hit so hard to get the perfect projection out of your drums. There's this nice sweet spot that if you find that, you don't need to be like using so much muscle in order to get the projection that you want. Like for Mario, because you mentioned Mario loses lots of wrist. He almost doesn't use any
yeah.
fingers. That's exactly why for him, having the heads loose is gonna allow him to achieve the sound that he wants.
I
Yeah,
believe for him is more a question of sound
yeah,
than
exactly.
comfort. He found out the sound that he wanted, and then I believe that he tried to accomplish the mission, or developing a technique or developing a way to play it that way, because it will help the sound. You see, in the even in the drum solos he has a very specific sound. He has like a sound design
Yeah.
behind him.
And yeah, and that's like the old school mentality that Derek talks about a lot. If you see him on the groups online, what he says is that, like, depending on what kind of sound, that's how you discover how to play.
So that's why they also tell us to practice in a pillow.
Practicing a pillow is also, yeah, it's teaching you to just come back, but like understanding why you do it, because some people just go and try to do endurance on the pillow, but practicing on a dead surface is mainly just to teach you the coming up, because this way you are teaching your wrist to come back without having the help of a responsive surface. And then when you go to a responsive surface, this way you will realize, oh, I have all this assistance from the rebound. So just understanding why you're doing this and why you're doing that is a big thing.
When I'm teaching, sometimes I say that, like, well, the technique is that, but
Yeah,
how it will flow, it comes with the
yeah,
years. You cannot
yeah,
educate yourself. You have to let it go, and it will
yeah,
happen naturally. You'll find
yeah,
out naturally the balance and that, like a soft movement. There are some things that just come with time. I have
yeah.
my first drum teacher. He said, "You already swimming, but you have to swim with style now, and you have to like." Be slippery in the
Yeah,
water. You have to take
yeah,
advantage of it. So
yeah,
you're just swimming now. It's not
yeah,
enough.
yeah, and something I'm sure that you do, and something that was also very painful for me the first couple of times I recorded myself and I listened, I was in the garbage. When
Yeah,
I
it
was
keeps
like,
happening. Every day I record myself and I was like, man,
yeah,
this is
and
basic
that's
stuff. Why I'm not doing this like correctly after so many years?
sometimes you have to understand to relax and put your brain in this good alpha state of mind before you start playing. Even if you're playing good, you would not be able to hear it good.
That rec mode on the rec button makes
Yeah,
you tense. Even if you are
yeah,
by yourself in your house, you know
yeah,
that you have that take, and then after the second or the third, you are already like, "Fuck, man, this is the fourth take. I'm
yeah,
already tired to play this. Like I was with my full energy on the first one, and this is the fifth one." For me, it happens like first takes. If it goes bad, it goes like this, and then after the 10th take is going like up, because you are already so used to fail, go whatever, it's just another take, and
yeah.
the things go well and you are like, whoa, because you are relaxed.
As the same thing, it's like it's you have to do it to the point that, like, it's no longer an intimidating thing, but like
Yeah.
it's so weird because I record something and I'm like, oh, that sounds so good, and then I press the record button, and then
Yeah.
suddenly, like, I'm thinking and I'm doing all these things.
Recorded with the phone, for example, okay, it's good enough, like it's way better than I thought. Let's try it. Red button on. Oh my god. So if you want to record a full song, as I always try to do, I always try to practice the song enough to be able to record a full take. The take as more organic as I can. That song that has like 1 or 2 minutes, and then the bass drum, the hardest bass drum part, 10 seconds before you were like, okay, I have to do it.
Oh yeah, this always when I think like, oh my, this part is coming, it's coming, and then when it comes, and then you fuck it up
Yeah.
like that. You have to just like try to that. Like sometimes it's so important to just not think about that. Like one time I'm trying to learn this rudiment, and then I look at the TV, I get distracted, and then I
You
notice
are
that I
doing
was
it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a thing that I thought it was just with me.
because you have to stop fucking thinking, man.
I'm
That's
that
so
kind of
your
guy.
mind is
When I think about something, I cannot do it. I don't know why.
because your mind is like your
It's
enemy, man.
blocking. It's
It's
blocking
it's
it.
like your enemy. It's like your mind is just battling with the self all the time, trying to get you to fail. This is somebody in your head that's just trying to get you to whenever. It's like whenever we used to do jump ropes, with my friends, and we work out, and I tell my friends, just try to pay attention that whenever you lose focus when you are counting, like we say, let's do 1,000 jump ropes, 10 minutes really quickly. And I tell my friends, I want you to realize how your mind's going to be doing this. If you're not counting and focusing that you're counting, your mind is going to start skipping. You're going to do 16, 17, 28, 39. And I was like, oh. If you're not thinking, you're like, suddenly it's like, I didn't do 85, how did I suddenly get to 85? It's like your mind just jump 10, 20, because you know what happens. Your mind in those situations wants to preserve energy because that's a survival instinct. Your mind doesn't want you to work out and waste your energy because your mind wants you to have as much energy as possible in case
Of
a lion
survival.
comes.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
survivors, so that you can have all that. So understanding that, then you can just like learn how to like. It's just like a focus exercise. It's so funny how like sometimes you have to over focus, and sometimes you have to like kind of like release the focus.
Do you feel sometimes like not playing drums? It's not that I don't like to play drums. It's just I'm not seeing the point of doing it today, at least. Or do you have like those lack of motivation sometimes?
Of course, 100%. Some days I feel the urge to push in those days because, like, I'm imagining that I am on tour and I've been playing for like 2, 3 weeks and I am not excited to play the same exact songs now. So I try to force myself to go and play them. Sometimes I go and then I have a shitty day at playing them like that. If I ever feel like that, I change something. I swap my snare. I change my setup. I clean my drum set. I put a different mic. Sometimes I just like feel like I'm just having an off day, and some days I have an off day. Nothing's working, and the song that I'm trying to learn, it's not working in my head, and you didn't feel good. Go choose a song that you can play and you can play well, and make sure to play something and like nail it before you leave the practice session. It's good to leave the practice room with the feeling of success. If you feel defeated and I can't play this song, it's super hard, and you just leave, it's
It
not the
will
good
not
mentality.
invite you to come the next day and do it again.
The thing that's the most demotivating for me is not having something to work to. I had to relearn my instrument from scratch because in Jordan, like, we nobody know what metal drumming techniques are and everything. So I came to LA, everybody's so good, and I thought I was good. But then when I came here, I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, I have to either quit this whole thing and do something else, or start to put my ego outside the door and relearn my
It
instrument. And
happens
I
to
have,
me. It happens to me. Well, it's actually happening.
yeah,
I was always more a prog metal drummer, and I'm working
yeah,
now with more extreme bands. From time to time, this band Occultist is not as extreme, but it
yeah,
still is comparing of what I was doing, and that's a part of growing. It's
yeah,
when you have to, like, you know that you're good, but you
yeah,
understand that you are not good enough for one thing, and you have to learn it as you are learning it from the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah, yeah,
So I had to readapt all of my foot technique for this band. I was
yeah,
using always the full leg motion because I just used those combinations, patterns. I was not
yeah,
able to, or I thought I was, but I realized I was not able to play it um, for 140 BPMs, for example,
yeah,
for 2 minutes straight. And
yeah,
I always thought I could, but I couldn't with the full leg motion. I had to develop some ankle technique or some double strokes. I'm working on it now, or some swivel motion. It's a good thing that you say that because I never thought about it, but it is. You have to fight your ego first
yeah.
because
Because if you
sometimes
come
we
from
are
a sport,
the worst enemies of ourselves because we think we are just having a bad day, or we complain about, oh, I'm so tired of working, that's why it's not working. I
yeah,
slept well. I didn't slept well. I'm not hitting really good, but it's not
yeah,
like you have to realize and understand and accept that it is a difficult thing for you. You are a beginner on that particular area, and you have to accept it and then learn and then become an intermediate and then someday a pro. But you have to have the path. You cannot jump from the beginning of the stair to the end. You have to do all of the steps.
I know, like I come from a small city in Jordan. I grew up. There's only three of us that play metal drums, and all of us were just okay. But like since there's only three of us, we every one of us thinks they're like a rock star. It's like you move to a city where there's like 10,000 drummers that are all better than you in every way, and then you're gonna think you either submit to your ego and you're like you just don't you just forget about that, or just like take the ego out as you said and just
And try to
realize
work.
that,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
you
the
have to
same thing
work.
in Portugal. We do have a very good metal drummers,
Yeah,
but it's just a few. Since it is a small country, uh,
yeah,
you do have rock stars, as
yeah,
you know. So
yeah,
we do have some bands that are starting finally after all these years to do some international tours and stuff. So people are opening a little bit more their eyes and seeing that, okay, the world is bigger than this country. So, oh yeah, I'm good, but oh yeah, I do have a lot to work with. So they keep
yeah,
improving. They thought, okay, I'm comfortable on this level. But
yeah,
now comparing to international market is not, there is no comfort at all. You
yeah,
do have to, if you want to, of course, but if you want to to keep growing. I talk with that with Alex Cohen on on this podcast. You will
yeah,
always find, especially now on the internet, you will always find a 9 years old kid doing way better, way faster. There is no limits. The only limit is yours. We have phases of learning, and one of them is thinking that you are the best.
yeah,
Uh, that's a learning process too. Life will get in charge to slap you and say that no, you're not,
yeah,
and you'll never be because nobody
yeah,
will ever be. And the most important thing to is to keep improving for those who want to. Even knowing that is that music is not a competition. A sentence very known of some, I don't remember the name of the guy. It is, competitions are for horses, not for artists. Is that one?
yeah.
It's very good to compare ourselves to others, to have a measure of what we are and what we can improve or what we can help, but not
Yeah.
as a, okay man, I have to beat this guy because this is faster than me and I have to be faster than him. It's not a process, right? But you do find that kind of mentality in small countries or small cities, and it's normal
Yeah,
because they don't know better.
yeah, and it's I'm a strong believer that every man and every woman is a star. Everybody has is different than everybody else. It's good that to realize that to keep always try to be humble, because when I started working with Axis, I was able to meet lots of drummers all day, every day, all the time on shows and like outside of shows and situations, and I started to realize how nice it is for like somebody who is big and respected and still humble. Somebody who is
Yeah,
super good. It's so nice, and it's so like ugly if I find a drummer who's so good but he's such an asshole, or like who's like very arrogant,
yeah.
or very full of themselves. It's like you can be the best ever, and then that little thing can like just destroy everything. Like anybody who's just full of themselves is just insecurity.
But
It's not confidence.
that's what I was saying. The really good ones and the ones that are really the good ones,
Yeah,
they don't have to be rude, or
yeah,
they are good
yeah.
with themselves enough and they are happy with the results of their work so much that they are good people and they are fine and they understand people they are trying to, or they help. They do help because they don't feel their position of
Securities.
insecurities, of course.
Yeah, because it's honestly it goes back to the insecurity and people that are threatened from the success of others, and they don't realize that honestly, like the more you help, it all comes around and comes back to you. And if people get successful because of something you said, your name is gonna get brought up more and more because you have said this, and then that's gonna even make you boost your reach as a person. Plus, like being a nice, helpful, sweet person goes way longer way than like being the best drummer ever. I know many drummers in the industry that always get booked and always they're always busy, and they're good drummers, but they're way better human beings than
Yeah.
drummers. They're just nice people, and if you're a nice guy and can play in time, you are definitely gonna get way more gigs that if you are like a crazy good drummer but like a douchebag.
It happens in every interview you see. What do you ask for a drummer? Or what do you ask for a band member? What they always said that, man, if I'm doing something serious, I'm planning to spend a lot of time with this guy. So I'm planning to have long flights with him or long touring bus drives with him. If it goes good, I'll spend 2 or 3 months living 24 by 24 with this guy. It's
Yeah,
like he has to be a person that I want to hang out with and to have a drink, and he has to be a person that we understand each other good. Because if it's not, like the job is not it is easy by itself. With the guy that I can support by myself, it will make it impossible to so it will compromise my band, my plan, and my work just because we don't get along with each other. So it's not an option, even if
yeah.
he is the best drummer in the world. And it makes sense. You have to work with those people, so you cannot fake those things. Most of the time, is a mind statement. Like there, you have to be good with your life to be a good person too, and to be patient. And well, shit happens to everybody, and when it happens to other people, you have to you have to understand, and you have to be tolerant, and you have to, well, imagine if it was with you.
And it's just 1 hour, the playing part of like the relationship of touring, or like you play the set, and then after that's hanging out. So if you can't hang out and be cool and be chill, it's definitely gonna be a short game. And that's why people say like how are they, can I spend time with them, because like you can
Yeah,
play the set, okay, that's just literally 10% of the equation. Like the other 90% is just imagine like the bus breaks down. Are you gonna be this guy who's gonna be like mad and throwing tantrum? Are you gonna just be the first guy to go grab like a wrench and try to like change
yeah.
the awesome,
Okay.
man.
Thank you very much, man, for your time.
Yeah,
It
man.
was a
Yeah,
a big pleasure to have you here.
it was
It was
fun
an
as hell.
amazing conversation. I do hope we do it more often. Let me just ask you to give your information about your bands. If you can share with us the links on the social media for people here that is watching this podcast to find your bands too.
Okay, awesome, man. Yeah. So basically, I play drums for Exotic. We are set to release our EP on the 22nd of May. You can follow Exotic on Instagram at Exotic Official. You can follow me at Zaid Amarin Instagram. You can find us also on YouTube, where we have all our promo videos and our music videos at Exotic 666. Also, our website www.exotic.com. You can find all our links to all our music, and to get how to get in touch with us.
Yeah, thank you for your time, man. I know that it was supposed to be very short, but we took it a little while, which for me
No,
was
it was fun. It
awesome.
was fun, man. And definitely let's do it again, man.
Yeah.
I love chatting. Of course, man. Good
Hugs,
night.
my friend. Bye. So, again, if you do like this kind of conversations and you find some motivation out of it, please consider on subscribing the channel. Hit the like button. It helps the algorithm and the channel and the creation of this kind of content. We'll have a very special guest next week. Until then, don't lose the previous episode and take your time to watch some of the other videos. I play drums too. Thank you very much for watching the video. See you next week. Keep drumming.